Canadians want, and really we want two criteria to be satisfied. We want to see a process that's independent and that's public or transparent. Those are really the two important things that we believe will restore confidence in our electoral system, and we'll be asking questions about that today.
Whoa, back it up. How can it be independent and public? You know, what you're trying to say is that you want independent person and a public transparent on TV or the internet. Now, the last one I can think of that would be the Public Order Emergency Commission. Now, did that even fit the criteria in the first place? Now, that was with Paul, and was that transparent? Well, that was transparent, I'll give you that much. But the independent part, Paul actually used to work for John Turner and the Liberals like 40 years ago. So he didn't really fit the independent part. Is that what the issue is here? Here I have another criteria, the redacted. What's the point of independence or have it public when nearly all the good stuff is all redacted? That doesn't make any sense. That's the one other criteria that you should add to this. Let's continue.
It's a hypothetical question, so can you hypothesize for us? If they come out, they meet your criteria for independence and be nonpartisan, and they say there shouldn't be a public inquiry, you're going to go for that?
I'm not going to hypothesize on that.
You know, this was your chance to get out of a sinking ship and save a bit of face what you have left. You know, this is 3 months into 2023, and this is what, the third scandal that's going on? The first one was that hiring practice. The other one was actually trying to shoot a UFO out of the air, which sounds outrageous. And now this election one. It's only been 3 months in 2023. This is your scapegoat. You should get out.
Committee to say that there needs to be a public inquiry.
No. We've said that there's two things that need to be met, and I've said that again and again, and I've opened up the door to how this is met, but we need to see a process that's independent and public. And right now, my concerns are that with the appointment of a special rapporteur, it will qualify as independent, but I still remain concerned about the public element of it. And that's why I believe the public inquiry is the best path. But I will be open to hearing if those two criteria are met. But right now, I don't think they're met, and that's why I'm raising my concerns.
You know, you're trying to convey two things that you want, and people are still having trouble understanding what you're saying. You know, you tried super hard, two little things didn't get met, it won't get done. You know, even a public inquiry took a year to do. I mean, it's 2023. You're not going to do this like 6 months before an election in 2025 anyways. I got a feeling none of this will get met. You tried super hard. You're done. It's done. I don't think it'll ever get done.
What happens if they're not met? When you get to the end of this process, you don't like the fact that they are not doing a public inquiry, the special rapporteur, would you withdraw your support?
That's not a decision we're making today, and we'll assess the information that comes before us, and we'll let you know once we see the next steps in terms of if they're satisfactory or not. But right now, we're saying very clearly that the independence seems to be met with this idea of a special rapporteur, but we're still concerned about the public element of it. Canadians need to know that everything is being done to protect our democracy, and right now we're concerned about that.
Your committee motion that you worked on with the Conservatives called for opposition parties to be consulted on whoever leads a public inquiry. Should they not also then be consulted on whoever leads a special rapporteur?
Yes, I think it's a good idea to do so. In the past, that's not been the case, but I think it is a good idea.
We had Mr. Poilievre out here before, and he was talking about CSIS agents leaking information because they see the Prime Minister working against the interests of Canada. What do you think about that? Do you think that's what's going on?
That's not a fair question, because all four agencies plus more have said years ago that they all told the PMO and nothing was done. And after 8 years, you know, they just released it to the news. That's what happened. There's no leak or anything like that. It's just there was told, nothing was done. Years went by and the information went public. That's all that's happened.
I think that's a very I don't know how the leader of the Conservative can make that allegation. I don't know what evidence he's basing that on.
How many times was the Prime Minister briefed about Beijing's interference in the 2019 and 2021 elections?
The Prime Minister would have been briefed on foreign interference in the elections multiple times between 2019 and 2021 and 2022.
Allow me to make better use of my 35 seconds. In 2016, $70 million coming from the Chinese community in Toronto and Montreal were funneled into the riding of Papineau, the Prime Minister's riding, at a time when a Chinese bank was seeking the green light in Canada. Once again, is that influence or interference? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker.
The reason for the leaks, we don't know what the reason were, what the motivation was. All we know now is that we've got serious allegations in front of us that should be taken seriously. That's why we're calling for a public inquiry. And just to correct the record, we're the ones that called for the public inquiry. New Democrats called for it. Conservatives are more interested in playing games with this. The
Conservatives are the ones that are playing games. This is from a guy that's on social media dancing, spending all his time on there, and never bothered to check to see what information was already out there on this interference. Maybe the time should have been on actually working instead of dancing on the internet and showing off all the money that you have. That would have been good too. And getting that information is actually quite easy to get, and you actually have more information than anyone in the public. And I find this very hilarious what you're saying.
We're using the committee process as a opportunity or forum to score political points. We think the question of defending our democracy is not an area to score political points. It's about protecting democracy, and that's why we're remaining very measured that we want a public inquiry, because we want to get to the real nature of the problems and then ultimately get to solutions to safeguard and protect our democracy. That's our goal. Very different from the...
Do you think the special rapporteur can meet those criteria, or does it have to be a public inquiry?
I think the rapporteur could. It is potential. Well, they're certainly going to meet the independence, the fact that it's no longer going to be partisan. So the first element of independence will be there. The second question about the transparency or the public element is one that could be met, could not be met. That's one that we're not certain of, and that's why we're saying that the government's announcement are baby steps, but are not going to respond right now to the gravity of the situation yet. It remains to be seen if it will.